The very first sale that you need to close in your sales career is your job interview, okay? Over the last 5 years, I have personally hired and also fired dozens of closers. I've done career counseling with hundreds of salespeople at this point. And in this video, my goal is to give you basically the ultimate guide on everything that you need to know to absolutely crush your sales job interview, to land the role of your dreams and get started with an awesome career in this space. So we're gonna be covering a couple things today. First of all, I'm gonna be going over exactly what I look for when I'm hiring reps and what your hiring manager will be looking for. I'm gonna be going over a lot of the common questions that you're basically gonna hear on every job interview that you need to be prepared for, and I'm gonna explain how to respond to them. And finally, I'm gonna be sharing with you a couple tips and tricks that you can use to instantly separate yourself from everyone else so that you can stand out and you can land that gig. Okay, so let's jump in. First of all, what are hiring managers actually looking for? Okay, I break this down into the 4 C's. Okay, one is you gotta be cool, right? Not a weirdo. You have to be coachable, you have to be competitive, and career oriented. Okay, so first things first, whenever I would do a job interview, the first thing I'm looking for is like, can I have a conversation with this person? Like, are they a good time to talk to? Do I see myself going to lunch with them and hanging out with them, right? The thing is, a sales job interview is really a demonstration of your skill sets as a salesperson, right? And if you're super weird and tense and anxious, then it's like, what are you gonna sound like when you're actually on the phone, right? So that's the first thing, is be cool, be calm, have a good time while you have your job interview, okay? 2 is you gotta be coachable. An exercise I would do a lot of the times when I would run an interview is we would do a role play, and I'm not necessarily looking for like any crazy skill sets. We would do a role play. I would give the interviewee, I would give them feedback, and then I would see if they would implement it the second time, right? So we would role play, I'd give them feedback, and then we would role play again. And you'd be so surprised at how many times that people would just do the exact same thing the same time. And it instantly shows me, hey, this person can't take feedback, or at least they can't take feedback quickly. This could potentially be a problem, right? So be ready for something like that. 3 is gonna be competitive, right? The way that you operate on your interview, people are looking for, they're not just looking for role players, right? I'm not looking for someone who can just do dials and what's known as a body in sales, right? I'm not looking for a body. I'm looking for a top producer. I'm looking for someone who's gonna move the needle, who's gonna be a leader, who's gonna push themselves and push everyone around them to break records, right? Think of how you can position yourself as that kind of person on your interview, right? Even if you're starting out with no experience. And finally is, you got to be career oriented, right? Okay, everyone's here to make money and everyone wants to make that money as fast as possible. That's awesome, but the way that you're going to make that money is as a result of really mastery of a skill set and doing that alongside, a company that's going to serve your needs, right? And you need to be able to demonstrate that to the person you're working with, right? You want to show them, hey, I'm looking for a career. I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to do big things with you. I'm not just looking for some quick little job. And especially in the high ticket space, a lot of people, they're looking for quick opportunities. They're looking to move fast, and you got to show, at least when you're on your interview, that you're in it for the long run. Cool, let's jump into some common questions, okay? First things first is tell me about yourself. This is gonna be the first question that you're basically always gonna hear. A lot of people think that tell me about yourself is permission to go on this long-winded story of everything that you've done in your whole life and how you grew up and all these different things, right? Tell me about yourself. What that is pitch yourself, right? Sell yourself to me. Okay, so the way that you want to do this is you want to start with demonstrating some character traits that you have, right? And why you feel like you'd be a great fit for the role. So something that I would say is, hey, my whole life, I've really been into, sports, competition, and really just becoming the best version of myself. I just got out of school. I just dropped out actually. And, my whole life, I've always been really obsessed with how can I just become better? How can I learn new skills? How can I become a better version of who I am? I feel like I really learned this playing basketball growing up. I spent 8 years, playing at a high level in constant competition. And I feel like a lot of those skills that I learned in basketball, I translate into work. When I was working as a lifeguard, I always saw myself as a leader on the team. And I would always work with other people and help them come up, train the new guy, and just try to get better. Especially when I dropped out of school, I realized that, hey, I got to get my shit together and I need to, level up and step into a new version of myself to achieve a new result. And, I'm really excited for the opportunity to get into sales because I know that, sales is one of those things where I get what I put in, right? And I can basically accomplish anything that I want. So, I'm really looking forward to the rest of this interview to see if this would be the right fit. Something along these lines, right? Add some story, demonstrate some character traits of leadership, of work ethic, of personal development. You're gonna nail that first question. Question number 2 is, why do you want this role? Right? A lot of people start with their needs. A lot of people will say, oh, this role is really cool because it's 100% remote, unlimited earning potential, and I can make a whole lot of money, so it seems really interesting to me. Right? No, those are your needs, right? One of the skills that you need to have in sales is you have to be able to see from the other person's perspective. What is the other person looking for, right? They're looking for those 4 C's, that you're cool, you're career oriented, you're competitive, and you're coachable. Okay, how can we show that here? I might say something along the lines of, hey, listen, I'm at a point in my life where I have really big goals. I want to make a lot of money. And, I understand that to make that kind of money is I have to start with the skills. I have to start with the basics, and I have to learn those skills alongside people who are really good at what they do. And from what I've seen, from what you guys have done so far, from the research I've done, it seems like you guys have those things. And I think above all, because the skills and working with great people is important. But I think most important for me, an environment where I can really master those skills and thrive, is when I'm doing something that I'm excited about. When I feel like I have a mission and I feel fulfilled as I'm doing it. And I know you guys have a fitness program, and fitness has always been a major part of my life, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to master these skills, make a lot of money, while I'm also helping people and creating a massive impact. Right? Boom, right? Skills, career growth, fulfillment. I'm aligning my goals with the values of the company that I'm working with, right? Because their goals are, they're trying to make a massive impact. They're trying to work with people who are in it for the long run. They're trying to invest in people. And I'm aligning those 2 things. Well, one of the questions that you got to be prepared for is, what is your experience, right? Your hiring manager wants to know, hey, if I give this person a sales job here, how do I know that they're going to succeed, right? What are past roles that they have had where they crushed it? Now, listen, whether you have experience or you don't, to be honest with you, it actually doesn't matter. It's really just about how you communicate it. I've done hundreds of interviews, and a lot of the times I speak to people who have 10 years of experience, but the first thing that comes to my mind is hey, is this person coachable? Are there bad habits that we're gonna have to unlearn before we can move forward? As opposed to someone with very little experience, if they're super ambitious, hungry, they're a good communicator, a lot of the times I'm gonna go with that guy as opposed to this guy, right? So keep that in mind. Let's go over the 2 responses, whether you have or you don't have experience. Okay, first off, if you don't have experience, think of any character traits that you have that would serve a sales role, whether that's leadership, working in high pressure environments, whether that's results driven roles, whether it's, roles, sports, anything like that. So here's something that I would say, hey, I don't actually have any sales experience necessarily, but what I do have is a lot of experience in really high pressure environments. I spent 4 years playing on a high level basketball team, and I was actually the leading scorer. Our team, we weren't that good, and there was a lot of pressure on my back to get better. And over those 4 years, I felt like I really stepped into a leadership role where I knew that I had to step up and I had to do a little bit more than the rest to kind of put the team on my back. Right. And then after that, especially with that experience in sports, that's what led me to eventually being a lifeguard, where I was a leader on my team. I was actually a deck supervisor. And something I would do a lot of is, we would have parents coming in for swim lessons super angry because their kid failed the grade. And something that I would do, one of my responsibilities is I would have to talk to these parents, neutralize their objection, neutralize their problem. And a lot of the times I'd have them walking out of the pool with a smile on their face. And, I think over the past few years, I've learned a lot of skills, and I'm really excited to apply them in a sales role where I can start making a lot of money with them, right? Something like that. You're going to crush your answer even though I don't have any sales experience, okay? If you do have sales experience, you wanna talk about exactly what you've done and what results you have driven, okay? Just having a job doesn't really mean much, right? What did you do when you were at the job? So if I had experience, I'd say something like this. Hey, for the last 6 months, ever since I dropped out of school, I was actually an appointment setter for an e-commerce coaching company. And it was a really cool opportunity because before that, I didn't have any sales experience. Early on, I was doing hundreds of dials, just pounding the phones, just dealing with rejection all day. And I think through all of that rejection, I learned a lot of lessons, and I was actually upgraded to a closer position. And in that time as a closer, I was for 3 months, I was closing. I generated about $200,000 in total revenue, closing at a 28% rate. Now I know I have a lot of room for improvement, but that's kind of why I'm here today, because I want to level up my skills, and I want to surround myself with people who are playing this game at a higher level, right? So notice how everything I'm talking about was with experience. I have stories involved, talking about timelines, specifics, and exactly what I can apply to this current role. Okay, think about your current experience and like write down a couple of the things that you've done in the past and the exact character traits and skill sets that you bring to the table, and practice communicating them, because that's what we're here to do on a job interview. Okay, moving forward, every single time at the end of your interview, listen, your hiring manager, they're gonna dig deeper on a couple things. They're gonna get you to expand on a few things, but this is really the basis of what an interview is gonna look like. At the end, they're always gonna ask you, hey, do you have any questions about the role? If you don't have any questions, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot, because it tells the person that you're interviewing with you're not prepared, or you don't really care about the opportunity that much. Okay, I have a list of a couple questions that I would be asking if I was interviewing for a role. First off, I would ask, hey, what's the culture like? Like, do you guys do a lot of incentives or competitions within the sales team? Something like that. With all these questions that I'm going to give you here, you want to demonstrate one of the 4 C's, right? That you're cool, that you're competitive, you're career oriented, and you're coachable, right? This last one here, hey, are there any competitions? Are there any incentives involved? It shows I'm competitive, it shows I want to compete, it shows I'm excited for that opportunity, right? Next question here. When it comes to the people on your sales team who have been with you for the longest, who have put up the most numbers, like, what are some of the things that separates those people from others who are kind of like middle of the pack, right? It shows I want to be a top producer. When I start, is there any way that I could potentially like shadow some of your top guys, or even listen to their call recordings? When I was looking into your guys' company, I know you guys run a fitness program, but I saw on your Instagram page, you guys run a lot of live events. What does that look like? Right? And you can insert anything there, right? I noticed this blank, and then ask a question about it, right? I just wanted to clarify that really quickly. It shows that you actually did some research on the role and you're looking into it and you care about the opportunity. Finally, hey, like what's the bigger picture goal of the business over the next like 3 to 5 years, right? Again, shows I'm career oriented, I'm growth oriented, I'm looking at this thing big picture rather than looking for a quick. Now, really quickly, let's talk about a few things that you can do to separate yourself from everyone else who are also interviewing. First things first is when you're applying for some of these roles, I'd really recommend that you start out with a video message, right? So even before the interview, right? If you're gonna send a message to apply for a role, whether it's a DM or a response to a post, if you can send a video rather than a text, do it. Pull out your phone, be cool, don't be weird, don't try to be overly professional, right? Hey Joe, I saw your job posting for XYZ sales opportunity. I'm really excited for the opportunity to potentially work with you. The next message I'll send over is my resume. Let me know what time works best to set up a quick interview. Chat soon, right? Something chill, something simple where you can just show yourself what you look like and show that you're a good communicator. Nobody's gonna be doing that. If you're the one person that does it, all of a sudden you're at the top of the list when it comes to new candidates. Okay, another thing, after the interview, send a quick message, right? So, hey John, really appreciated our chat today. Looking forward to hearing your response, right? Right after the interview, just fire off a quick text, just send that over, right? Keep yourself top of mind. Aside from that, like really probably the biggest tip that I could give you when it comes to your interviews is like, genuinely enjoy the conversation, right? Again, when it comes to an interview, you are demonstrating your skills as a salesperson. The number one thing that I would always look for is like, hey, do I just enjoy this conversation? Do I like this person? Is he cool? If he's not, then what are my prospects gonna think of him, right? So obviously it is a high pressure environment. You might get a little bit nervous, you might be a little bit anxious, but like really make an effort to just detach from the outcome, right? Whether you get the job or not, doesn't matter. There's plenty of fish in the sea, and just enjoy the conversation. Last tip I'll give you is take an hour before your interview and look at your Zoom background, right? Like look at the room that you're in. Is the lighting good? Is your camera decent quality, or does it look like you're taking the interview on a potato? Right? Are you in your mom's basement, or are you in a nice room? Is there a plant behind you, or is it just a bare wall, right? And just in general, if you're in sales, like really take some time, invest in a nice setting, invest in a nice background. And it's one of those things where it's like instantly people perceive you differently in the first second, right? So take a little bit of time, make sure that setup is super crispy, and good luck. You officially have everything that you need to go on and crush your video. Write down any big takeaways that you get down below. And for anyone who's out there applying for an interview, maybe you have an interview coming up next week or tomorrow maybe, and you're preparing last minute, drop a comment down below if you got the job or if you didn't get the job. And yeah, let's see some wins down in the comments. But anyways, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.